can't help being afraid.
Hey ho there, welcome back. Glad to see you back for more enlightened trivia and fascinating film discussions in my class, Schlock Cinema 101. I'm your professor, Professor Fred Hopkins, noted educator of bad cinematology. And we are going to go once again to delve into the deep recesses of the vaults of B- movie Hollywood filmdom. And we are going to judiciously explore more enlightened facts about these fine films from the drive-in's greatest era. Today, class, we have a beauty, the 1959 classic, Attack of the Killer Shrews. It's a wonderful, wonderful movie about a group of scientists who attempt to tamper with Mother Nature and invent a strange serum that creates gigantic, bellicose, mutant, constipated, homicidal killer shrews that attack a small group of people stuck in a discombobulated, falling down house. The shrews, of course, are starving for food. And as everybody knows, shrews just eat more and more and more and more food. So it sets up a terribly pathetic and tragic situation of these poor people caught in this home. The director of this film, Attack of the Killer Shrews, is Ray Kellogg, a director who also went on to do The Giant Gila Monster, both produced by Gordon McClendon. But the real stars of this movie are the shrews themselves, who are, of course, played by dogs. And these dogs are real troopers. I mean, Rin Tin Tin, Lassie, move over, because these dogs give everything for their art. I mean, they wear fake fangs, fake furs, and even degrading shrew masks over their muzzles just to convince you, the spine-tingled audience, that they are truly killer shrews. And they give a breathtakingly convincing performance as killer, gigantic, mutated, bellicose, hostile, discombobulated shrews. Our movie opens with James Best, the captain of a small ship that's been assigned to take cargo and much-needed supplies to a small remote island. On the island, James Best discovers that it's inhabited by several scientists, an older man and his daughter, all of whom have been making strange experiments with shrews. They've taken cool little shrews, and they're wreaking terrible, weird, bizarre experimentation, and no one knows why. But they're wreaking havoc, and they're tampering with Mother Nature. And everyone knows what happens when you tamper with Mother Nature. But a hurricane envelops the island. The daughter of the head scientist, Ingrid Good, who was Miss World 1957, has her bags packed and is ready to leave, but they can't go due to the hurricane. They are stuck on the island and must spend a gruesome night there as the hurricane starts. And the shrews, who have been let loose by Festus, Ken Curtis, who plays Jerry in it. Jerry is a discombobulated, dysfunctioning alcoholic walking around in a poor, pathetic bowling shirt, which would be very retro now if you could get a copy of it. And he accidentally let some of the shrews out. So the whole island, as Ingrid Good tells James Best, has about 200 or 300 giant shrews running around, and they weigh 50 to 100 pounds. And that's where our movie begins. Meanwhile, as the small, pathetic motley group is trapped in the house and the hurricane is going on, Dr. Baines, the older scientist, treats us to some shrew biological facts. It turns out that shrews consume, I don't know, 10,000 times their body weight every day, and they must eat and eat and eat and eat, and they'll eat anything when they're hungry. They'll even eat bones. And this kind of bony, crunchy conversation upsets everybody so much, to such a great extent, that they all become martini machines, drinking cadaverous, very cool martinis every minute. Everybody's drinking throughout this film. I mean, this is what was wrong with America in the 50s. Come on, drinking, drinking, drinking. It doesn't solve anything. It doesn't make the shrews go away. You may not know this, class, but Killer Shrews was produced and financed by Texas businessman and movie mogul Gordon McClendon, a sort of legendary figure in the history of movies as well as radio. And he plays the absent-minded scientist who kind of stumbles in and out of every scene and keeps hulking over the typewriter for some reason. And you have to keep trying to get his attention. He's kind of drooped over it. And then he has that weird glazed, sort of constipated look in his eyes when he's talking about weird shrew facts. But that is Gordon McClendon. And for our pop quiz today, I'm going to ask you a question about Gordon McClendon. Gordon McClendon was involved in the radio business in the 1950s. And he invented something that we still have today. It was a phenomenal kind of system when he invented it. If you can tell me what it was in the radio system that Gordon McClendon invented way back in the mid-1950s, actually just a few years before this movie, you will pass with flying, excruciatingly, discombobulatedly wonderful flying colors, the first pop quiz. So, I guess it's about time to get on with our munch some kibbles and get on with our movie, except I have a few jokes. Just a little aside. What city has the largest rodent problem? Amsterdam. What did Tom find when he put Jerry in the freezer? Mice cubes. And what state has the largest rodent problem? New Hampshire. And why are lawyers better for experiments than white rats? Because there's more of them, they're cheaper, and there are certain things that white rats just won't do. Anyway, enough is enough. Igor, roll it. Igor, roll it.
Those who hunt by night will tell you that the wildest and most vicious of all animals is the tiny shrew. The shrew feeds only by the dark of the moon. He must eat his own body weight every few hours or starve. And the shrew devours everything: bones, flesh, marrow, everything. In March, first in Alaska, and then invading steadily southward, there were reports of a new species, the giant killer shrew.
Quiet out there. Almost smell it, can't you?
No, but I can feel it. The pressure's dropped so fast, it's almost made my ears pop.
Hurricane's got different ways of telling you it's there. Where is it?
Dead ahead.
What's that mean to us?
My boy, that puts our port right in the middle of it. There's a cove on the lee side, though. We'll snuggle up close to the bluff and ride it out.
What about the bottom?
Well, the chart shows it's good holding ground. It's clay. You know something? If this thing had an automatic pilot, I wouldn't have to put up with you.
Then you wouldn't have nobody to chew out.
We should be there in a couple of hours. These mills of yours keep running.
Look, automatic pilots can't play Dixieland jazz on them engines like I can.
Hey, Rook. Rook, come here. Take a look. There she is, dead ahead.
Man, that sure do look good.
A man named Craigus owns this island, doesn't he?
That's the name on the crate, Dr. Milo Craigus.
We'll unload tomorrow. I don't want this craft sitting high in that water when that flow hits.
You gonna ride stern, too, with a lot of water under?
That's right. That sea won't make up in that cove. That wind will have her whipping around like a kite. Slip forward and break out the heavy weather hook. Shacklet, make sure it's free to run.
I'll mouse the shackle.
Good. Oh, she'll ride like a duck. If she swings too far to starboard, we might have to take a check line to shore. Hey, Rook, take a slant up that trail. Now, that's a rather strange setup, wouldn't you say?
Looks like somebody's getting rid of somebody, huh, Captain?
Maybe. Hard to tell.
I'm Dr. Craigus.
Thorne Sherman, have your supplies aboard.
That's good. Nothing wrong with Captain Ferguson, I hope.
Well, I wouldn't know. I just bought his run.
Oh, I see. Were you able to fill our order?
Everything on the list. Here's the manifest.
Missing last week's supply has run us a little short, you know. Captain, after you have unloaded, I have a passenger for you. And Captain Sherman, this is my daughter, Anne Craigus.
Hello. So you're the passenger?
That's right, Captain.
Oh, it's going to be nice having you aboard. I'm getting a little tired looking at Griswold. But we're not leaving today. In fact, we're not even unloading. That load will cut the roll in half. You expecting an invasion?
Yes, animals.
Game or otherwise?
Under certain conditions, it could be dangerous.
Hey, Rook, you want to shake the kinks out? Limber up a little?
Not me, Captain Blythe. You go right ahead and stretch your legs. That ship's gonna be bucking like a bucking bronc for long. Besides, I got some work left to do.
If you do come ashore, wear a gun.
Got you, Captain.
told you about the hurricane. You act like you didn't know anything about it. What's the matter? Your set broken down?
You've been out of communication for more than a week, Captain.
Can't it be fixed?
It's totally out of commission.
My assistant, Mr. Farrell, Jerry Farrell.
Father, perhaps the captain would enjoy a drink.
Well, of course. Will you join us in a cocktail?
Well, I've never been known to turn down a drink yet. I'll be glad to accept.
Fine. In that case, we'll have martinis. Mario,
Si, senor.
mix them, please. Right this way, Captain. Come in.
You have everything here you need?
Oh, we are self-sufficient here. We have cows for fresh milk and chickens for fresh eggs.
We even have saddle horses.
Sort of a world all your own.
That's exactly what I've tried to create.
Well, to each his own.
If you have to be isolated for your work, you've picked a lonely little island.
Excuse me, please. I think I'll change.
She's a little worried because you aren't leaving until tomorrow.
Well, I can understand that. But there's something else bothering her.
Radford? Radford? Radford, would you please step over here? I'd like you to meet someone.
Just a second, Doc.
That could go on for hours. Dr. Baines.
There's no need to shout, Doctor. I'm right here.
I'd like you to meet Captain Thorne Sherman. This is my other assistant, Radford Baines. How do you do?
2 new litters since lunch, Doctor. Both support GT116.
That's good, but,
We can breed them to the 205 group in about 3 weeks. But I'd prefer to wait and expose about half of them to the Hoskins factor first. If you agree.
Good idea. Do you know there's a hurricane coming?
Hurricane? Well, I don't suppose there's much we can do about that. Glad to meet you. Sherman, wasn't it?
You have to excuse Radford. Anything that does not concern his project does not get through to him. Brilliant mind. He would start at it if someone didn't remind him to eat.
Must be very interesting work. What's his field?
Biology. We specialize in genetics, heredity.
I'm afraid my interest doesn't run in that line, you know.
Think what would happen if you could isolate and identify the inherited factor in each gene.
Now, wait a minute. I'm afraid I'm not very good with pure research.
This is practical research. Generally, among mammals, the smaller the size, the higher the metabolism and the shorter the lifespan.
Is that right?
Well, I'm attempting to decrease the size while maintaining a low metabolism and resultant a longer lifespan.
What reason?
Overpopulation. Not a problem now, but it will be in time. If we were half as big as we are now, we could live twice as long on our natural resources.
Father, may I speak with you a moment? Will you please excuse us, Captain?
Well, providing you drop the captain, I prefer Thorne.
Well,
Tell me something, Doctor. Has a hurricane ever hit this island before that you know of?
I wouldn't know. You've only been here 9 months, and this place has been unoccupied for years.
Well, have you ever been through one?
Only the fringes.
Well, this one's building up very fast. Pressure drops very quickly in the center. I'd advise you to get some doors and windows open in this place.
Ventilators on the roof.
And if you'll freshen Anne's drink, I'll go and check them.
I'd be happy to.
Thank heavens you're right today.
Why, are rations getting short?
No, it's more than that. Much more. We'll surely be able to sail tomorrow, won't we?
Possibly. But not probable. Not delayed, anyway. Takes a long time for a sea like that to quiet down.
Well, if you're worrying about me, you needn't. I'm a good sailor.
Oh, I'm not worried about you. We'll sail when the time's right.
Got them opened, all right. Oh, Captain, let me freshen you a drink. One for the road. Not trying to rush you, but it will be dark soon.
I've invited someone for dinner, Father.
Oh, I see. If you're not worried about your ship, you're welcome.
I'll take a rain check on that dinner.
If you wish.
Father, I've asked Thorne to stay.
Progress, Doctor. This is the sole survivor of Group 30. 28 months old today.
Well, that's equivalent to 140 years to us.
That's right, yet it still maintains low metabolism without any sluggishness.
It's not the breakthrough, but it certainly sets our course. Radford, suspend series 52 through 96, and we'll concentrate on the rest.
What is that?
It's a Sorex cericidae.
Looks like a small rat. Smells like a skunk.
They have musk glands in their knees. These little fellows are our subjects. They have a birth cycle of 10 to 14 days. And using them, we can establish traits. We can trace the progressions through a number of generations over a short period of time.
Well, how big do they get?
That's an adult. See, their muzzle is longer and thicker than the rat's. It extends over the lower mandible, see?
Does he bite?
Only when he's hungry.
Well, maybe you better take him. He doesn't know me.
All he knows is his next meal. He's just been fed. He'll be all right for another 8 hours. The shutter blew open. Radford?
I got it, senor.
Don't let that scare you. It's gonna get worse.
Storms always frighten her, ever since she was a child. They are not climbers. They are digging animals, a lot like the mole. They feed only at night unless they're starving. And when they are hungry enough, they'll tackle anything regardless of size.
No kidding.
Mm-hmm. If you leave 2 of them in a cage for 12 hours without food, the stronger will eat the weaker.
Like cannibals.
Precisely. You see, their intense activity requires a tremendous amount of energy. To supply it, they must eat 3 times their own weight in food every 24 hours or starve. Radford, would you please take this? Take it. Yeah. Some call them bone eaters. When the flesh is gone, they'll eat the bones for marrow. All they'll leave are teeth, horns,
I could
hooves.
use another martini. Do you mind?
Of course, my dear. I'll get you one. There you are. Mario! Aquí, por favor. Mario will show to the bath and he'll freshen up a bit. Here be el señor al baño.
Sí, señor. Sígame, por favor.
Excuse me.
Aquí, señor.
You got a problem, too? ¿Qué pasó?
Nada. Nothing, senor. But you will leave on the ship tomorrow.
Well, I think that all depends on the wind and the sea, don't you?
Sí. Sí, senor. I don't know. Ah, you're joking. I feel the point. I think.
Well, I'm glad to hear that. Now, if anybody else is concerned about my sailing tomorrow, why, you see they feel the point too, huh? I don't like to repeat myself.
Okay, senor.
Of your drunken stupidity in leaving the cage door open, you created the horrible situation that now exists.
Look, Ann, this is a mistake any one of us might have made. And I'm getting a little sick of being called an irresponsible drunk. Now, believe me, I am. Excuse me.
Care for a cigarette?
Thanks. And thank heavens you arrived today.
You said that before. What's the strain?
That don't make sense. Please excuse me. But it seems like everything is coming to a head at once. I want to leave, but I want my father to go with me.
Well, then, why doesn't he?
We've discussed it many times, but he's adamant. I'm sure Jerry has a lot to do with this decision. He tried to convince me that the crisis will only last for a few...
Well, this is certainly a cozy little scene. Might even be called intimate. Boy meets girl and all...
Stop it, Jerry. That remark is uncalled for. What I do or have to say does not concern you.
I can't disagree with you more, my dear. I'm concerned with everything you do, and I intend to keep it that way. Now, in my book, an engagement isn't a casual thing.
In my book, it isn't either. And last night ended ours.
Everybody in the world is scared to death of something.
That's evident. When they came at us last night, you knocked me down getting inside the fence.
It's just that I can't stand them.
And I've discovered something I can't stand.
All right. But I advise you not to mention it to anyone. I'm going to complete these experiments with your father regardless of anything. Do you understand that? Nobody is going to take this chance away from me.
That's Captain Sherman.
Checking the weather. I'll get him. Captain, time for dinner.
good as a mile, I always say.
You know, if one of those trees crashes through, it might just
Look,
knock
honey,
the whole...
any tree on this side of the house will fall away from it, so just relax. But I think I'd better go back aboard. I don't think I'm not grateful for your hospitality. I am. I'll see you tomorrow.
Thorne, your ship is safe. Please, stay here with me.
Why? You scared or lonesome?
Both.
I'll take a rain check on it.
Thorne, you can't leave. No one opens that gate after dark.
Well, who's going to stop me? You?
What's this? No one opens that gate at night.
Now, look, I don't ask questions because it's against my principles. But wouldn't you like to explain that?
All right. Sit down and I will.
Give me the gun. Not very becoming anyway.
Do you believe in fairy tales?
Well, I'm a little old for that sort of thing, but what'd you have in mind?
Well, I'll tell you about one. A true fairy tale. And you're right in the middle of it.
Oh?
Have you ever heard of a shrew?
As in taming
No,
of
the animal. Bradford called them soricity when he showed you one.
Oh, then shrew must be the common name for those cute little animals.
Cute. That's the last word you can use to describe those little monsters. They're the most horrible animals on the face of the earth. As Father told you, they breed within 3 weeks after birth. Their lifespan is
Yeah,
around
I
1
know what
year.
your father told me, but what's that got to do with me opening that gate?
There are 200 or 300 giant shrews out there. Monsters weighing between 50 and 100 pounds.
50 to 100. Wait a minute, you must be kidding.
I'm definitely not kidding.
That's as big as a full-grown wolf.
And what's more, they are beginning to starve.
No wonder you didn't want me to go out there. Thanks for saving my skin.
Well, I'm sorry I had to threaten you with a gun. But I didn't know how else to stop you.
Oh, it was very effective. But all you had to do was tell me about them.
Well, I hoped I wouldn't have to. But you changed everything when you started to leave. And I had to stop you some way.
You say there's 200 or 300 out there?
Man. That's right, Captain Thorne. And if you'd stuck with your rowboat and played captain instead of trying to play detective, you wouldn't have to worry about how many are out there, would you?
That's enough, Jerry. What's wrong, Anne?
Well, Thorne decided to leave. To dissuade him, I started to tell him about the shoes.
You might as well know the whole story as half of it. I guess we're all a little jumpy, Captain.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
6 months ago, we managed to isolate the factor controlling size. 2 litters were born. 6 individuals we kept for study. They were about the size of buckshot at birth. But the rate of growth was abnormal. They continued to grow. They were mutants. But they inherited all the negative characteristics of their breed. Somehow they managed to escape. But a month later, we saw one of the offsprings. They were multiplying. We did everything in the world to exterminate them, but no apparent luck. Then we haven't seen any. Since daylight neither blinds them and they forage only at night, when they're starving. But the fact that 2 of them charged Anne and Jerry at the gate last evening indicates that the available food on the island is nearing depletion.
Then what, Doctor?
They will exterminate each other. It'll take a couple days.
What do we do during that time?
Stay indoors and wait until it's over.
I guess some wires blew down on the transformer.
I'm sorry. I'll get some lamps.
Mario! Si, senor. There's a lantern in the pantry. Light it and bring it in here. Bradford, light all the candles you can find.
All right, I will.
Where's the generator?
Outside. Can't get at it at night.
Here, let me help you. The lantern will give you all the light you need. I will join you shortly, Jerry.
Well, Jerry, I felt she was sincere and made sense from her standpoint.
Wanting her father to leave the island with her makes sense? It'd be much better for the project if I went with her for a few days. As a matter of fact, I think I'll talk to the doctor about that. That might be the answer. And another thing, I don't take much to this Thorne Sherman. He looks to me like the type that'd try anything.
That left-handed dinner invitation. That was just to keep me here till after dark, wasn't it?
I wanted you here tonight. I thought something terrible was going to happen.
Well, you still feel the same way about it?
Not as much. Not since you're here and know everything. I love an open fire, don't you?
Mm-hmm.
The wind has a lonesome sound, doesn't it?
Sure does.
Like in Sweden, we don't have a wind this strong. You're a strange man, Thorne. I never met anyone like you.
Oh?
You seem so disinterested in everything. Aren't you the least bit curious? Don't you wonder about the unusual things around here? The guns, the fence, the shattered windows, my accent, anything?
I'll tell you something. I'm only interested in anything that concerns me. Then I do something about it. You're going to sail with me tomorrow, whether your father intends to or not.
Thorne, no! Father, Brad! Out there!
I don't think he was going out, Jerry.
I couldn't take a chance. He's fool enough to.
Don't be stupid. I know intentions of going out there, opening that gate, now somebody needed it. Did you hear it, Doctor? Sound like a human voice. I was thinking a rook.
It was the livestock. The Shrews got into the barn.
What was it, Father?
It was the livestock.
Did Mario forget to bar those doors?
No. I put them in the barn myself. They couldn't get through the wood doors. They dug through the dirt floor.
Let me ask you something, Doctor. How could you expose all our lives, yourself included, with those things out there? All you had to do was get the Coast Guard or the Navy to come in here and burn them out. Those things got loose.
Any unusual experiment can produce unusual results. That's why I chose this island. It's isolated. Miles of open water in any direction. Our project is privately financed. It's not a problem for the government or military. The world is in no danger. This species does not swim. And as far as the Shrews are concerned, this island is their world.
Very soon, right here on this island, there's going to be a miniature reproduction of an overpopulated world. And you'll see the importance of what we're working to avoid.
I'm not concerned about all this theory. What I'm concerned about is our lives.
There'll be ample time to panic when they run out of food and go on a 24-hour forage.
How do you know they haven't already?
That's possible. Their main diet has been the small animals on the island. That source could have been depleted 18 or 20 hours ago. And that's why they went after the livestock.
There's still some food on this island before they reach the crisis.
Where? No worry about them digging in here. The floors are tile.
But the walls aren't, Doctor. They're adobe. Our safest bet would be on that boat.
You may be right. We can reach your boat in daylight. The Shrews will gorge themselves on livestock. That should keep them lethargic for several hours.
There's no sense looking at the dark side.
And there's no sense minimizing a serious situation. It leaves you completely unprepared to cope with it. Now, we certainly can't make it tonight. That's out of the question. Maybe tomorrow. I have it. We'll get some sleep tonight, but we'll have a watch, an hour and a half apiece. Doctor, you go first, and then Radford, Mario, Jerry, and then me. Shutter all the windows. Make sure they're locked good and tight. Check all these walls.
Come on.
No, I think I'll stay here by the fire. I feel safer. I couldn't stand it in that room alone.
All right, as you wish. But try to get some sleep.
I will.
Senor Farrell, here is Mario. You are next to make the patrol, no?
Sure, Mario. Come on in. I've been waiting for you to finish. I must have dozed off. You kind of startled me. Sit down. Here. Have a drink. It'll help you to relax.
Gracias, senor.
Sit down. Just a while. You just checked every room in the house, didn't you?
Sí.
Fine. You're a good man, Mario. A man that can be trusted. You know what I've been thinking about, Mario? Anne and that captain. You and me. Imagine an intelligent girl like her going for a common sea tramp like him. I know why. You do too. In case anything goes wrong, she's looking out for her own hide. That's why I keep thinking about you and me. Anything goes wrong, we're gonna outlast them all. I'm going to trust you to take my turn of patrolling the house. But when you finish, don't wake the captain. Come back here and get me. See, I'll probably feel good enough by then to take his turn. Okay, Mario?
Sí.
Okay.
It is Mario.
Oh, Mario, come on in. What is it?
There is a big raton in la bodega.
A shrew in the cellar?
See, I hear him singing down there.
Well, how did he get in?
The store broke out the kitchen window, but I closed it off. He went down there.
Why should he go down there?
The food for the little ratones. I put it out to frost. They love it.
Well, did you tell Jerry?
No, senor. Here is your turn next. Here is una luz. We kill him, no?
Yeah. Ann, wake up. A shrew got in. It's all right. He's down in the cellar. Now, we're going down after him. But I don't want you to let anybody open that door till I tell you to. You understand? Good girl. Okay. Open it just a crack. Open. Hold on to it. Okay. You take that side. Mario?
Aquí. You see anything? I see where he was. I do not see where he is.
Cuidado.
Si, senor. I will be careful. And he also got busy. Fix that.
So what do you think? I mean, is this exciting or what? And how about Mario? Does he have shrew bait written all over him or what? I mean, he goes down to the basement. Nobody else wants to do it. It's a dirty job. And then he gets, bitten in the crotch by an insane, hostile, bellicose killer shrew. I mean, that's no fun. And what about the captain's first mate, Rook? I mean, he comes all the way in from the boat during the middle of the so-called hurricane, which the hurricane only lasts about 3 minutes. It knocks down one tree, and that's the end of it. So Rook comes in, and the hurricane's apparently over, and the giant killer shrews attack him. And he looks around for trees, and there's all kinds of huge, gigantic, full-bodied redwoods, and he picks this pathetic little sapling, climbs up on it, and he's obviously overweight, and it cracks and snaps, and he gets discombobulatedly chewed on and eaten by the killer shrews, and he makes noises like a girl. I mean, geez, it's so cheesy. In fact, class, if a tree falls over in the woods and then just as a joke straightens itself up, do you think that freaks out the squirrels? Just an idea. I don't know. But anyway, the cheesy effects are fantastic in this film. Now, to answer our earlier pop quiz, and I ask you, what radio phenomenon did business mogul of Texas, Gordon McClendon, come up with in the mid-1950s? And the answer is the top 40. Actually, when he came up with it, it was called the top 60. Of course, in the 1950s, there were far more releases turned out by groups than there are nowadays. But the top 40, that was the first rigid format of popular music. And he did that on a station that he had in Texas, KLIF. And that station before 1955 or 56 was actually your standard station. It had some drama. It had a little bit of news and weather, and it had Gordon McClendon doing his signature sportscasts as the Scotchman whatever that means. I mean, I don't know what being Scotch has to do with sports. Drinking Scotch would have a lot to do with sports, but anyway, he did invent the top 40. So if you were very alert, adept, and focused and rigid, you got that one. Now let's turn to Ken Curtis, one of the producers of the film, and he portrays Jerry in the film. And you just look at Jerry like with the cigarette and the booze always, and Ingrid Good, Miss World, so beautiful and such a finely chiseled woman, was actually, according to the plot of the movie, engaged to Jerry, drunken stumblebum, pathetic Jerry, who isn't really a scientist. We don't really know what he is in the movie. But anyway, he is one of the producers of the film as well as playing Jerry. And you might be interested to know that Ken Curtis started his career as a big band singer in the 1940s. He was in the Tommy Dorsey Orchestra. Later on, he went into cheap B-movie westerns, singing cowboy films. And of course, that genre kind of dried up too. And after that, he went into pretty regular roles as a supporting player in John Ford films, and all those movies starring Duke Wayne and many other people. And one of the reasons that Festus might have had such regular employment is he married John Ford's daughter. So that probably had a little something to do with it. You might also be interested to know that Festus was one of the Sons of the Pioneers, along with one of my favorite actors, Leonard Sly, more popularly known as Roy Rogers. And they were both in the Sons of the Pioneers. And Festus was the one who first popularized to movie audiences the wonderful tune, Tumbling Tumbleweeds. Don't you listen to him, Dan. He's a devil, not a man. Classic, classic, classic stuff. All right, before we get back to our fascinating movie, Attack of the Killer Shrews, let's examine the director of Killer Shrews, who also did Giant Gila Monster, Ray Kellogg. Ray Kellogg directed a controversial and yet extremely popular 1968 film that more or less, the publicity surrounding the movie sort of dwarfed the actual plot of the movie, but it was a huge hit in 1968, and it starred David Jansen and Duke Wayne. Can you tell me the movie of that 1968 film helmed by director Ray Kellogg for our second pop quiz? Back to our movie. Igor, roll it!
He's dead. Dead? I got this on him right away. He couldn't have bled to death.
Might as well let go of it. Won't do him any good now.
What could have killed him?
I'm not certain. Till the autopsy.
Hemotoxic syndrome.
I'm afraid so. We'll know after pathology.
Doctor, that's not the same animal you showed me. That's a monster.
As I said, they are mutants. In controlling the size factor, we seem to have crossed some of the other characteristics.
Well, you certainly did a good job of it.
I've known that for some time, Captain. Would you please give me a hand with Mario? Bradford, bring up the animal.
extremely high poison content in the Shrews' saliva.
Now compare it with this. Careful count isn't necessary. Any indication of the same poison in Maria's blood will give you the answer.
Yes, you're right.
Look, Ann. Brooding about it's not going to do any good. Now, why don't you try to think of something else? Tell me, what do you do around here? Are you a scientist?
I'm a zoologist.
No. That's the study of animal life, isn't it? Well, do you specialize? What do you specialize in?
Their diet. Well, I had a hand in this, too. And I'm partly to blame. But this ends it. If we ever get off this island, I'll never have anything to do with it again.
What will you do?
Live normally, like normal women do. I mean, you see, it seems a little dull after the life I've been living. I'd rather dull and alive than excited and...
I'll take a dull, alive woman every time.
Say, Thorne, the autopsy has proved what we suspected. Several weeks ago, I concocted the most virulent poison I could with the materials I had at hand. And we put it out as bait. Mario was killed by poison.
Doctor, I wonder if you thought the system of the Sorex enabled them to assimilate that poison. It remained in the salivary glands of their jaws. Isn't that wonderful? Well, I am sorry. Of course, I always speak from the clinical point of view.
Well, don't you have something to counteract that poison?
Once Maria was bitten, I'm afraid there's nothing anyone could have done. This indicates that we cannot afford to get even so much as a scratch from these animals. They're more poisonous than snakes.
What, do you think they're all affected?
Best way to find out is let them all bite you and see which bite you die after.
We might just all get that chance, Jerry. You included. Doctor, I've closed all the doors in the house. I suggest we do the same thing with this hall and this lab. It'll cut down the chances of getting in the front of the house. I think if we keep a close watch on those walls and windows in there, we might make it till daybreak.
The walls are 2 feet thick. Do you think they have a chance to dig in?
Of course there's a chance. Anywhere that plaster's off, that adobe's as soft as mush where that rain hit it. But here's another possibility, Doctor. It's very light out. It's going to be daylight soon. We'll take the shrew that killed Mario and throw it over the fence and use it for bait. Mm-hmm. If they show up for it, of course, they'll run for the boats out. But if they don't, then I'll go down and have Rook lay to with a lighter. Then I'll return to the bend and the trail and give you the all-clear signal.
Sounds fine, Captain.
Good. Then you explain it to the rest.
Yes, I will.
Well, the bait's been out for 20 minutes. Nothing's touched it.
town. Isn't that wonderful?
I'm afraid it's not over, my dear. It's just a low. There'll be a lot more.
He's right. I'll be back at the bend shortly. Now, you watch for my signal. Huh?
You can't go alone.
I'll go with him.
Not you, Father. You haven't even fired a gun. Take Red or Jerry.
Sure, I'll go. Then you'll be sure of getting the signal.
Don't shoot that gun unless you have to. We've only got 20 rounds altogether.
I know that as well as you do. Sherman, you stay away from her.
You have that gun pointed at me?
Right at the middle of your back.
Look, we got enough problems without worrying about Ann.
I'm telling you, stay away from her, and when the Shrews get through with you, they won't even find the buckshot. Where's the skiff?
I'll follow that check line. I gotta find him.
Since last night, you won't find much of him.
Would you shut up?
I'm not going back.
You what?
I'm staying here.
All right. You suit yourself, but if I were you, I'd swim out to that boat.
Can't swim.
Then stay here.
Wait a minute. You gotta give me a gun.
Give you a gun?
Sherman, wait!
The gun we had on the boat. They don't leave much, do they?
Sherman, we gotta make a deal for it.
What is it? Shh. They've been trailing us on both sides.
Where? I didn't see anything. Look, Sherman, you gotta give me a gun.
All right. Whatever you do, don't you run. And you stay in front of me, because I don't trust you.
For heaven's sakes, Doctor, stop them!
Didn't he have it coming, or didn't he?
What happened out there?
Oh, nothing much. Jerry just tried to kill me twice in the last 5 minutes. Rook came ashore last night. He's dead. This all was left. Won't do us any good. It's got no ammo.
I'm deeply sorry, Captain. I wish I'd followed your orders.
Look, Doctor, you casually mentioned animals. You didn't explain to us what we were facing out there.
You have every right to feel the way you do. My mistake was only mine. It was one of judgment. I didn't know about the hurricane. I didn't anticipate the effect it would have on the Shrews. I thought the house would be safe through the crisis.
How could you expose your own daughter? How could you expose Anne to that?
She was going to leave last week, but the boat didn't come.
I need a drink. Anybody else care for one?
I could use some coffee.
I'll make some.
Thank you, madam.
Cream and sugar?
My leg! Slam the door!
You all right, Doctor?
He just ripped my trousers, that's all.
Are you sure that's all there is?
I'm completely aware of it, Doctor.
That was a stupid waste of ammunition. Every one of them a clean mess. There's still 4 of them in there.
How did they get in?
Through that kitchen window. That rope must be rotten.
It's got him!
He's dead.
Oh, no.
He recorded every symptom and reaction, right up to the moment of his death.
Jerry, tear down one of those drapes and cover him up.
Sure. Craigus will cover Ann, and I'll cover him. You'll cover me, but who'll cover you? Shut up! We can get on the man old sway for the shit. Shut up!
Now you stop sniveling and think!
It'll take a tank to get us out of here.
It won't take them long to dig around this.
You're right. They'll tell me where else they're digging, too.
Those walls. I'll tell you, we'll pile some of those crates up over there. That roof's our last chance. Here, help me, Doctor. Find something light. All right. Here, help me with that, Doctor. Jerry, see if you can find some more. As tanks. Individual tanks. Here, I'll show you. All right. Stand down here. Let it down now, all right? Slow. All right. Coming all right? Yeah. It'll work. It'll work.
But these drums are too tall for the base. If the Shrews don't push us over, the wind will.
Not if we lash them together. All right. Hey, are there any more around here?
Only that one over there.
You have any cold chisels or hammers or anything I can knock a hole in here to make 5 pieces?
Yeah, some tools over there in the corner. All right.
Hey, here's another one. Hey, get that out there. We'll work on it. Hey, that's even better. Give me a little more slack. Get some rope and put it on that latch so we can reach from the ground.
Ready.
Okay, here they come.
say?
She says she's all right. She's keeping her eyes closed.
All right, keep your eyes closed. They can't get at you through the slit.
This empty drum is too heavy for her. I can barely hold up my side.
I'll be all right in a minute.
All right, you walk. I'll drag for a while. Listen, don't let their head get under. They'll flip us over. We'll hit the water soon. It doesn't sound like they're following us anymore.
We better work deeper.
I'm about drowned out.
Okay, let's swim for it.
Okay. We are Mr. Nordbortusen. We are safe, aren't we? I mean, the storm.
Sure. She rode out the first half all right, and that's always the roughest. Anyway, riding an anchor, I'll get a chance to learn a little more about that Swedish accent.
In 24 hours, there'll be one shrew left on the island, and he'll be dead of starvation. An excellent example of overpopulation.
Well, you know something, Doctor?
What's that?
I'm not going to worry about overpopulation just yet.
Don't you just love this movie? I mean, the black and white photography where it gets so black whenever the shrews are on that you can hardly ever see them. I mean, it's just, and the scene where like Festus and James Best are outside the compound and they run in and they let Festus in and then he locks James Best out. Isn't that cool? And then Best kind of crawls over and then he does that kind of Hercules versus Machiste thing where he gets, you know, like Festus on his shoulders and takes him up and he's about to drop him in, you know, make him shoe bait. But then, you know, he kind of gets merciful and puts him back down. But he and Festus keep mixing it up anyway throughout this movie, and several times after that. But don't you think it's cool the way everybody just kind of comes together and grabs blowtorches and welds some oil drums together and then cuts out eye slits and turns them over, and they all get under the oil cans and like duck walk 2 miles to the beach? I mean, and the doggies are just trying to get the shrew doggies are trying to get their shrew doggy treats, and they're like schmooking up against the cans as they kind of get into the water, and Ingrid Good's kind of like, you know, kind of a thing, like she's, you know, consumed way too much Maalox. It's very, very cool. It's a very touching part of our film. But, you know, even thinking about this movie makes me, and watching all the drinking and all the shrew doggies, makes me hungry for like a dog bone and a martini. Oh, thank you. Yeah, I mean, you know, it's tough work, you know, being Professor Fred and running Schlock Cinema 101 here. But, oh, wait a minute. It's trivia time. Now, you probably want to know, students, what the answer is to the second pop quiz when I asked you what famous 1968 film starring David Jansen and Duke Wayne was directed by Ray Kellogg, the director of Attack of the Killer Shrews. That movie is The Green Berets. Extremely controversial 1968 film. Ray Kellogg himself was a Hollywood production fixture. He did special effects for many, many movies throughout the 40s and 50s. He did special effects for such films as You're in the Navy Now, Gentlemen Prefer Blondes with, Monroe and Jane Russell, and The King, the Pelvises movie, Love Me Tender. After directing Giant Gila Monster and our Attack of the Killer Shrews, Kellogg went on to direct an obscure oddity called My Dog Buddy, which hardly anybody in the world knows anything about. And then he finished his directing career, at least as far as we know. Maybe he's got another one in him, but the last film that we know of that he directed was the 1968 production, The Green Beret. Now let's kind of critically examine the star of our film, actor James Best. A very fascinating character. After World War II, James Best got involved in the Universal Studio system. And he starred in such movies as Air Cadet with Rock Hudson and Peggy Castle, and the classic Abbott and Costello Meet the Invisible Man. An interesting aside is that Best is the first cousin of the musically talented Everly Brothers. But much cooler than those Universal A pictures are the great science fiction B movies such as Riders to the Stars and Forbidden Planet that James Best starred in. Sadly, the thing that he's most known for is playing Sheriff Roscoe P. Coltrane on the Dukes of Hazzard TV show, and he'll be forever known as that. In fact, when I met him at a Hollywood celebrity convention, everybody called him that. You know, it's that thing of calling actors by their TV names rather than their real names, which is, you know, kind of a B-movie, miasmatic kind of cultural thing. But recently, James Best has gotten out of being in front of the camera and is kind of getting behind it, running an acting school in Florida. And rumor has it that he is putting together a sequel to Attack of the Killer Shrews. Thank you, students, for putting up with the giant, pathetic, discombobulated, vomitous, constipated, bellicose Killer Shrews. And I enjoyed it, and I know you unctuously enjoyed it as much as I did. Thank you very much, and please come back next week for the next class of Schlock Cinema 101, featuring Professor Fred Hopkins and Igor. And now, Igor, the students have put down their pencils and papers, unhook their manacles, open the door, and let them go! Ah! Go, Shrews! I'm so tired!